Hello and welcome to Primeval Park. Today we're going to be showing you how to keep and care for arboreal tarantulas. So I'm going to repeat again, these are arboreal, not terrestrial. So if you have a Brazilian black, this video is not going to be for you.
Right, so the lifespan of these tarantulas really differ depending on their gender. So if you want a female, they live around 12 years. Males only live up to 4 or 5 years. So if you want to last a longing pet, you should go for a female.
So naturally, the Gooty Tarantula and most arboreal species, they like to chill in trees and tropical forests. So that means you're going to have a very high humidity level, around 75 to 80%. And as all tropical species, you're going to need a heat mat. So I just put this on the side of my cage, so the tarantula's got a warm spot, but you're also going to have to provide a cold spot just in case they get a bit cold. So just do a good 50-50 mix. And the second reason for getting a heat mat is that it's going to improve your humidity levels, because you're going to have to spray that cage every day, or I do it twice a day, so it needs to be like an 80%. It's going to have to be like a jungle in there. And then that heat mat is going to help you condensate the cage a bit and make it a bit more steamy.
As well as this, we have some other branches and different things in the cage so the spider can just climb around, have a good time, and increase its enrichment.
So when it comes to feeding, tarantulas don't have to be fed very often. You have to feed the juvenile ones every 3 to 6 days, and as they get bigger, that becomes every week maybe, because they don't have huge appetites. As your tarantula gets bigger, you're going to have to get a much bigger prey item, so I mean like a big locust, or you can use dubia roaches, and sometimes, and this is very rare, but you can use mice. But I tend not to do this because they can also injure the tarantula quite easily, so that is up to you, and don't blame me if you do that. The most challenging part of the feeding process, I would say, is the juveniles, because when I first got mine, I was actually scared of eating the crickets, so I had to convert them into locusts. And if that doesn't work, you can kill or injure them, because in the wild the babies tend to be scavengers, but then eventually you're going to have to switch to live prey. Do not leave any live insects in the cage for more than 24 hours, because if your tarantula is molting, this can just stress them out.
When handling a tarantula or cleaning your cage, for example, you need to make sure that you understand how venomous your tarantula is and how aggressive it is, because they can be quite dangerous animals, and you don't want to mix it up.
In an unfortunate event, if the tarantula climbs up your arm, if it is still running, don't move, because a tarantula, when it is running, it physically cannot bite you. So just let it be still and don't freak out, and just gently put it back in the cage. I know this is easier said than done, but just try not to freak out, because a bite from one of these ones, especially a Gooty Tarantula, is pretty potent, and it's not going to kill you, but it can kill anything the size of a German Shepherd, so don't let it touch your dog or anything. And if it bites you, you're gonna have a dead arm for about a week, so just try to avoid it. So when it comes to housing the arboreal species, you're gonna need a tank which is high up, so it's not like a landscape, it's like a portrait. And so with the juveniles, they're quite scared of large spaces, so don't make the tank too big. I recommend something, so my tank for my juvenile was 40 by 30 by 40, and even that is still quite big, so you can go a lot smaller than that. But when they get bigger, you're gonna have to give it at least a 2.5 to 3.5 gallon sized tank, and just make sure there's lots of hiding spaces and just lots of climbing platforms, and it should have a sweet time. When it comes to substrate, I quite like a thick layer, because sometimes, I mean, like the arboreal ones don't really burrow, but I just quite like having a substrate, so I use cocoa fiber, because that can just any substrate which will really hold the humidity in the cage. And if you want, you can also put some spag moss in to make some humidity hotspots, but that's just up to you. And if you want to add live plants to your cage, so that's like having a little bivouac to set up or something. Most tarantulas don't like light, so I thought it was quite hard, because obviously the plants need light and the tarantula doesn't really like it. I mean, you can do this obviously, but I just tend to find it's a bit techie, so it's up to you.